to kind of start out, I want to first, as I mentioned, talk about some misconceptions. And so the first one is I believe there's a lot of people out there that believe you're either born a salesperson or you're not. That there are just certain people that are designed to be salespeople, and if you're not one of those people, then you can't be successful. And so if you're out there and you're selling and you're not able to close, or you're not selling as well as you think you should, you might wonder if that's the case with you. Are you a salesperson? Were you born with what you needed to have in order to be a salesperson? Well, I personally don't believe that at all. I believe that selling is a skill. There are things you can learn in order to sell better, to sell more successfully, more effectively. Um, and there are things you can learn to do, and not there. More importantly, there's things you can learn to stop doing or not do that can have sometimes in some ways a bigger impact. I will say that there are some people that are born with natural leadership qualities, that there's just something they naturally do, that people follow them and they take sort of a natural leading role in a lot of situations, and those people could end up being good salespeople by building a strong following and strong network. And in some sales positions, that does become an asset, and that is important, and that can help. That might be more helpful in the area of relationship selling, where you're building up a network of people that you work closely with, and you're building up a lot of relationships. I believe in most product, service, or technical sales, you that you don't have to have that necessarily. It's about really doing the right thing. So we'll talk about that. And I believe there's a misconception that you have to have a certain personality in order to close, and this is kind of tied to the last deal, which is you're born with the personality that you have. There's not a lot that you can do to change your personality. I mean, you can push yourself to be to get out of your comfort zone, or to push yourself to perform and operate in a certain way, but you are who you are, and I don't think you should try to be someone you aren't. But I don't think you have to have a certain personality in order to be a closer and in order to sell. So a lot of what we'll talk about here today can help you regardless of your personality. I mean, if you're so much of an introvert that you can't stand and you don't want to interact with human beings, then you probably shouldn't be in sales, and this, what we're talking about today, won't help you. But if, let's say that you like selling and you're okay being with interacting with other people, but you're just not the loudest person in the room, well, there's certainly things you can do to sell more and to close better, and we'll talk about those here today. A lot of people associate closing with being pushy and aggressive, and in order to close more or to close better, you have to be pushier and aggressive, and maybe they're not that pushy, or you don't want to be pushy and aggressive. And I don't think that you have to, and to be more successful and to close more, I don't think you have to be pushy and aggressive. I think it's about being smarter. There's a lot of people that think that closing is the hardest step of the sales process. And I will agree that closing is probably the most important. I mean, you could do everything really well, and if you don't close, if you're not able to close, then it's all for nothing, right? So it is the most important. I actually believe that closing should be the easiest step of the sales process. And what I think a lot of people don't do the right things, so then closing is extremely hard. I do the right things in terms of before the close step. I believe if you do everything right leading up to the close, closing should actually be the easiest thing that you do in the sales process.